10 o'clock. Oh, yay!
Hello, greetings, and welcome from inside my wardrobe. And welcome to the news and views with the EV Café. 30 minutes of what's happening in sustainable transport with expert analysis from, frankly, a couple of superpowers today. Brought to you this week in partnership with the AA, campaigning to stop the rise in pothole numbers. Big campaign going on there. Well done, Edmund and all the team. So we are joined by Sarah and Paul. Morning, both.
Good morning.
Paul, going to turn the heating in your house ever?
I know. No. Well, I figure I've got to keep everybody kind of running round at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So that's why we keep it to absolute, like just above freezing is okay.
And Sarah, you tickety-boo this morning?
I am. I got to see Starlink last night for the first time, and I honestly thought that Julia Roberts movie off Netflix was coming true with all the satellites in a line about to crash. So I filmed the whole thing, and that freaked me out. So I'm feeling very elevated by my experience last night.
Well, anyway, grab a cuppa, because Starlink was amazing. Grab a cuppa, plug in to what's happening in clean transport this week, because we're going to be talking about Scottish Power investing big in the grid. Does the UK really need 8 times more EV chargers by 2035? We'll discuss. Electric bin lorries powering homes. Magnificent. The AFP investigating whether fleets are prepared to share their chargers for electric vans, and funding for hydrogen refueling stations. It seems to be gaining some momentum. Now then, how are you all? Everybody who's out there, are you all doing well? Let us know in the comments, with 1 being a bit rubbish, I'm a bit Sid the Sloth this morning, and 10, you're as excited as Sarah is to talk about our first item this morning, which is something she's been working on as a result of becoming Woman of the Year. Sarah, over to you.
Wow, thank you very much. Everybody who has ever attended a webinar of the EV Cafes or subscribed to the newsletter will hopefully have seen mine went in junk. Just saying, but do please check your junk box because in there is an invitation, a call to action, if you like, for anybody that you know who may wish to benefit from the Barbara Cox bursary. So I was very grateful to receive some money in recognition of that award, and I felt it was spirited to pay it forward. So I've taken a bit for myself, which I will be using for a sort of mental health resilience training thing to do with management work. And then the next bit is going to Shelter, the homeless charity. And then the residual amount is ring fenced at £3,000. So if you know anybody who would benefit from that £3,000 to progress their learning or to advance their position within their own business or company, and it can be absolutely anyone. I'm doing blind CVs, so I don't care who you are or where you're from. I want to care what your motivation is and what you will do with it. So please do click that link, fill out the form. It's only 5 questions, and send it on to anybody who you feel would benefit. And really, I'm just excited. So we're going to be announcing the winner on the Love Hate EV webinar on the 14th of February. So get your skates on. Deadline is very short, probably a couple of weeks, and I'll be sifting through all of the anonymous applications. So I will be very excited. And then the best bit is after we've reviewed the shortlist, the other people who are part of the 2023 Barbara Cox sort of shortlist itself will decide the winner. So all 6 women who were up for the award last March will decide the final winner, the receiver of the bursary. Team effort, guys. Team effort.
And the fact that this is anonymous and that your judging of this is an anonymous process means it is open to absolutely everybody. So just because the money came from Women of the Year, guys, don't feel you can't. Women feel you can, and anybody in between absolutely must. Got to go for it. Yep. Brilliant opportunity, Paul. What would you study if you could as a result of winning the bursary?
Do you know what? There's a really good course from Cambridge University on sustainability. Actually, it's a great course, and I think it's around about £2,500. I think. The other thing I'd love to know more about actual business skills. Probably, you're kind of dabbling and you're kind of, but I could probably do with some help on that. But I think that the sustainability course, really understanding the impact on the climate, what we can do to make a difference, and all of that, the tech around it would be great.
What about you, Sarah?
Yeah,
Is
closing
there
the
anything
skills
you've got
gap is
left?
the priority.
Have you got anything left to learn?
Absolutely. I've got well, this is my point actually. People have said, why haven't you used it yourself? And I'm like, well, because I work for Paythrough, who are incredibly supportive of any learning and development that I want to put my hand up for. And I said that live on stage when I won the award as well, which is I want to pay this forward because I'm spoilt rotten. Really, I am. So let's give it to someone else. So yeah, good fun.
What an absolute superstar you are. Thank you so much from everybody who's going to apply, because I think it's a fabulous opportunity. And I might even throw my hat in the ring. Anyway, let's move on. Let's say
You
hello
really
to
should.
Let's say hello to a few people. Toby Hiles was first through the door this morning. He had them off the hinges at 9:58, so bless you. Ashley Bannister, who won the EV Café mug on Wednesday on the webinar, and he lives about half a mile away from one of our team and is going to have that hand delivered, that mug. I think that's the first. We may even see that on social media. Morning, Ashley. Pam Hanlon, Russ Morgan, Steve Hamer. Hope your recovery is going well, my friend. Kirsty Robinson. Don't understand this, Kirsty, at all. Hulk Hogan in Berkshire? What's that all about?
Is it rhyming slang? Hulk Hogan frozen or something?
No, because it doesn't rhyme. Kirsty, explain yourself. That makes no sense at all. Dev Chakravarti, Peter Gennari, good morning. Hello, Andy Hill, Catherine Brandt, in brackets, always right. Ron Godfrey, morning, Ron. Carl Elliott, Peter Gennari gets a second mention because I didn't sift it out quick enough. Mark Main-Dan Martin, Rob Dustin, Chris Griffin, not Peter Griffin, David Bushnell, Martin Sweeney from MHA, Darren Anvona. Hello, mate. Nice to see you again. Tom Middleditch from Europe Car. Who else we got? Jim Blair from Arnold Clark. Tristan Dorman. You're not coming in. Your name's not down. Laura Huswick-Wilkes. Tim Aylan. I've done all the name jokes. That's it. Let's move on to the news. Scottish Power has unveiled £5.4 billion worth of contract opportunities as it outlines its next phase of electricity network investment. The move is the company's biggest issued contract opportunity to date and will see major investment in green energy infrastructure and green jobs in the coming decades. Scottish Power now has billions of pounds of contracts on offer for the supply chain to support its electricity network ambitions and a net zero future. Scottish Power's grid business, SP Energy Networks, is now encouraging companies with the skills and experience to bid for contracts to design, develop and upgrade new and existing strategic transmission infrastructure. This will include new high voltage substations, overhead line construction, as well as design, engineering, construction and electrical works. Now, the National Grid have been investing for decades in the infrastructure to make sure that we're ready for the future. But this is a great story, isn't it, Sarah? You know, 5.4 billion of contracts. That's real jobs here in the UK.
I know. And Scottish Power, I feel like I'm with Scottish Power, by the way, at my house. And I really like them. I just think they're really communicative. They seem to really care as well if anything ever goes wrong. And also they do very responsive pricing. So 1 minute they say, actually, you've been paying too much. No, you've not been paying enough. That used to only happen once a year with my previous provider. So this has been really great to be with Scottish Power. So I'm fully backing them, fully behind them. And we talked about skills gap a minute ago. Well, this is exactly how to do that. People who are skilled in other areas can probably upskill and retrain to help with this rollout too. Yeah, delighted. Great news story.
Absolutely certain that we'll get a much more responsive network over the coming years. Is it coming quick enough, Paul? Should this investment possibly have been a little bit before, or was that happening anyway and this is just a highlight?
I don't know. I think there's a lot going on that we have been unaware of, and I think as time goes by, we learn more about what's been in the pipeline. There's every likelihood that this, you don't spend 5.4 billion without a bit of forethought. I imagine that this has been the wheels have been spinning on this for some time. So I think there's a huge pipeline of stuff going on that we don't see, we don't know about, and then it comes to, we find out about it and it's great news. And we know that the grid has to be green by 2035 and renewable energy by 2035. So there's a massive amount of work going on in the background. So I'm pretty confident that we'll see many, many more things like this that will give us the boosts that we need to keep us pushing forward.
Absolutely. Now, Kirsty Robinson has very kindly explained the Hulk Hogan thing. There was a post on LinkedIn this week of Kirsty dressed as Hulk Hogan. So check it out on LinkedIn. Kirsty Robinson, bless you for that. It was a scary, scary thing and clearly had been wiped from my mind. The UK needs 8 times more public electric vehicle chargers to meet demand by 2035, according to a recent study conducted by net zero consultancy Field Dynamics, who we were lucky enough to have at the EV Café Village this year. An analysis of 140 million MOT records and EV efficiency figures revealed the need and energy demand. It also uncovered that if all cars and vans in the UK were instantaneously converted to electric power, we would need 71 terawatt hours of power each year to run the national fleet, around 22% of the country's entire electricity usage. That's a heck of a number. Brilliant research there, Paul, from Field Dynamics.
I mean, that's stunning. It's interesting, though, because I would have, like, my gut would have said we wouldn't have enough energy to do it if we changed all vehicles at once. And actually, it's only 22% of the total capacity. And for me, that's an only in front of 22%, not a, oh my gosh, it's 22%. I'm actually really encouraged by that research because it says we've already got enough energy. It will be about managing the demand and when we take it and all of that kind of stuff. But with companies like Field Dynamics out there kind of doing this insight and research, it is really good stuff that really helps making good decisions. I know they've done a lot of research around where vans dwell overnight and other things like that as well. So it's great stuff. And just for those of you that are a little bit meh in the chat, there was Dave Bushnell wasn't feeling so great, and there's probably one or two others that are not feeling great. The podcast that we did with Charlie Gilbert is a really good one, and there's another one from David Beanie, all around managing your mental health and doing all of that good stuff. So, but actually, many of the podcasts should cheer you up, but and give you some meat about some great people. But either way, do check those out as well. But Field Dynamics, great company and a great piece of research.
It's also worth saying that certainly this week I had to reject a call from Paul because I was on a call as a result of a mental health challenge that somebody who came to us on LinkedIn originally had. And they just wanted to connect and share. And it's huge. That's massive to us. I don't know where that sound's coming from, but it ain't me.
No, not me either.
Really brilliant that somebody reached out and said, do you know what? I identify with a lot of the things you talk about. So long may that continue. We're always here if you need us. The noise has gone. Hurrah! Thank you, Paul.
It wasn't me. I've just been begging producer Joe to help. It was Sarah, apparently.
Oh.
It was me, but I don't know why. Nothing's changed.
However, we're a no-blame culture, so it's just one of those interesting things one of those interesting things that happens on the EV Cafe. Let's move on. Veolia has successfully completed the first phase of vehicle-to-grid trials involving its electric refuse trucks. They used to be bin lorries when I was a boy. The trials will enable waste collection trucks to power UK homes by feeding back stored energy from their batteries to the grid. With their batteries 6 times larger than those in an average electric car and the fleet usually parked at peak energy consumption times for the national grid, they could provide the ideal energy source by using VTG Technology. Sarah, that's genius, isn't it? We need this sort of off-peak storage capability as part of a wider ecosystem for transport and energy. Sarah,
We certainly do, and I'm terrified to turn my microphone on. I really don't know. Is it okay? Is it working now?
Keep going.
For me to proceed? Oh, okay, fine. Well, I'm really pleased you're covering this story. It makes sense with the size of those batteries, but also this is an appetite that's been around for a very long time. And I've been following a similar situation unfolding in Frankfurt with the airport, where they're using the heavy vehicles there as well as a trial. So this is bi-directional charging. This is making sure that the vehicles are used and utilised to power the building. So everything, what they call it, sort of airside and landside, I think, in airports. So everything they can make completely electric, they are and will. So there's 2 big studies there, and it's always people like Veolia who lead with this. It's always the people that have put their head above the parapet and got going early that we can learn from. So yeah, it even included translating the whole page from German to English. So some excellent translations came up when I was looking into that study.
Can I just pick up on something that's in the chat, Paul, before you do? Very important message. Mark Hamilton, a gentleman, I believe, from the Thames Valley area. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave Bushnell. Mark Hamilton has gone missing. Family and the police are very concerned for his well-being. If you know of Mark Hamilton and where he might be, if you can give him some support, give him some love. If you see him, let the police know, and let's see if we can find him, because that's a difficult message to see, and it must be very worrying for everybody concerned. Paul,
I'm just wondering which Mark Hamilton it is. I know a Mark Hamilton that anyway.
I think this is in Windsor, Thames Valley area, Thames Valley Police. Thank you, Darren Anvona, for that detail. Okay,
right. Okay, slightly concerned, but we'll pick that up afterwards. But this is it, isn't it? This is the reality of this. I was going to be all lighthearted and say this story is utter rubbish. Oh no, I mean it's based on rubbish. Because what's really interesting about the Lammen Way Veolia project is that the energy that comes from the site next door, and I've seen this in action. The bin lorries, as we'll call them, John, because we're old, the bin lorries that turn up next door to the Energy Recovery Centre, they just tip all the rubbish into the Energy Recovery Centre. I think they burn it. I mean, strangely, stop burning stuff, but actually they're getting energy from burning stuff. And then that energy becomes available to the trucks to charge with the very next hour. So they come back with 70% charge, and there's 45 trucks coming to that site, and it's 300 kilowatt hours of batteries, which is 12 megawatts, and 70% of them is around 9 megawatts available from the batteries themselves, just to go straight back out to the grid from renewable energy. In effect, it is a tremendous reality of taking people's rubbish, creating energy, and then sending it back to power those people. It's quality. It's a really, really good thing, and I'm really hopeful that it will become something really good.
Absolutely, Sarah.
Power to the people. You're coming out with some crackers today, Paul. Earlier you said what's in the pipeline. I think we need to change phrases like pipeline to down the wire, because it's no longer like the oil industry sending fuel down pipes. It's us sending electricity down wires. Okay, just me. I wanted to tell you about about this energy from waste stuff. I'm obsessed with energy from waste. It is burning stuff, but not much stuff. And there's a really wonderful infographic about it where you basically plonk a full rubbish bag in, and only sort of 6 or 7% of that bag then goes to landfill. Everything else is chopped and blown and separated and siphoned off and reused and redirected. So it's a highly profitable exercise as well, and the burning bit is very minimal. So to be able to power what's essentially 40,000 homes by a plant like that is a complete game changer. And now looping in this sort of powering the vehicles piece too is just the next step. What's to come? I don't know. Great story.
Great story, and just some more detail on Mark Hamilton. He's ex-Mercedes, so there's an added. He's part of our industry. Andy Hiles says thoughts and prayers with Mark. Known him for years on a professional basis, and Kirsty Robinson, otherwise known as Hulk Hogan, has put a link to a Twitter feed in there to find out more information. So yeah, very, very close to home, this one.
It really is. I spoke to him about 3 weeks ago. He was struggling with his job. I mean, this could well be a, mental health gone off the radar kind of, and hopefully that's all it is. But not that that's not serious. Of course it is, but let's hope that's the reality of it.
Yeah. Thoughts
very
with
concerning.
You, Mark, and thoughts with everybody concerned, anybody who knows him as well, because it's tough. And genuinely, if you do need somebody, you're never alone. And I know that I often want to shut down completely and just not engage. And usually Paul rings me at that point, and I have two options. Do I answer or do I run away? And I always answer, because I know that he's always there for me. Sarah, the same. I will always answer if I can, because they support my mental health and keep me where I need to be. If you need to have somebody there for you, we're here. The opportunities and challenges of fleets sharing charging infrastructure for electric vans will be investigated by the Association of Fleet Professionals. The Fleet Training and Trade Association has formed a new committee to look at ways in which businesses can make their own chargers available to other organisations on a reciprocal basis. It comes after more than half of van fleets, Paul, van fleets, 62% said they would consider sharing on-site electric vehicle charging infrastructure with other operators. That's brilliant. The community grows and grows. Paul, I didn't expect to see that because obviously, your own commercial considerations come first. But people wanting to share, have you experienced this anywhere?
So there's been a number of companies that have tried to do this as a whole, and I know that there's a number of companies continuing to try and do this. But it's great research from the AFP to bring to light that this is a positive thing, and to give more people the understanding that this is possible. It makes sense that you send your vans out, and then some vans are coming in throughout the day to serve or, deliver or do whatever it is. It makes sense to share that energy because, of course, it's not free. So the way that the networks can be set up these days, they can be providing with apps and RFID cards and software to manage that whole process. And at the end of the day, everybody wins. So people get energy at a sensible price rather than paying the higher price of public charging. But they also get the productivity because when they're stopped, as we have coined this phrase, Sam coined it initially, that you charging when we're stopped rather than stopping to charge. And that's perfect. And we've seen it. Numbers of companies have done this for their own fleets, like DPD. They've put charging at the doorways of their warehouses so that the users who are not directly employed by DPD, the drivers of the vans, can charge those vans whilst they're loading up. So there's a lot of really good stuff out there, and it's great that the AFP are bringing this to light so that other people can take a part in it.
Yeah, Sarah, it's something which we find often, that necessity is the mother of invention. And understanding your workflows and how vehicles operate, their journey cycles when they return to base, is absolutely key to making the best use of the available resources.
Yeah, Paul described it really well. And actually, I'd be so interested, Paul, to hear more and more, because I know you're helping businesses on the daily work this stuff out. And then on my side of the fence, it's about booking. So working out how we can help with the bookability of these spaces, because actually the last thing you want is people just turning up because it's got to fit in with your operational practices. Or you can make choices to have sort of publicly available charges outside of the depot, which can be utilized for a fee or a payment, as you say. So there's so much opportunity here. And dare I say, hydrogen. We've seen this week the UK's first hydrogen plant not only being opened for HGV use, but also welcoming others to come and refuel at the site in the northeast. So I think that's the first one I've seen offer that in real time. But as for EV, it takes a long time to recharge, particularly up to an hour. So I think charging because you've stopped, as long as it's managed in a way that works. Like I went to Holland to see the bus depot equivalent. So the buses go out and they know exactly how big the batteries are. They know exactly how long they're going to be gone for. And so those chargers are available between sort of 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. only. And then the vehicles have to be off before the buses come back for overnight. So it can absolutely be done. It's case by case, and putting together a good, strong business case internally to support dual deployment of chargers. So behind the fence and in front of the fence will solve most of the riddles.
And the fivers in the post, Sarah, for mentioning the next story, which is hydrogen. A publicly accessible hydrogen refueling station will be built in the northeast of England to support a fleet of fuel cell heavy goods vehicles. The government has awarded $7 million to the project, which will see fuel distributor Exelum build the new large-scale green hydrogen filling station near Middlesbrough at the intersection of the A19 and the A66. Initially serving at least 25 new zero-emission HGVs making deliveries from supermarket groceries to new clothes, it will be capable of dispensing up to 1.5 tonnes of hydrogen per day. Novuna Vehicle Solutions, the HGV leasing partner with the consortium, is also currently in discussion to support separate trials of hydrogen vehicles for Network Rail. Sarah, any views on hydrogen HGVs?
Sorry, this just proves that I don't read the script before the news. I listen with bated breath, but no.
It's good to see, though, Paul, isn't it, that there is this investment in hydrogen. It's not being left behind, because ultimately, I guess we're technology neutral at the EV Cafe in that despite EV being in our title, our mission is very much about accelerating the transition to zero emission vehicles. And if it's green hydrogen, happy days.
Happy days indeed. And let's remember that hydrogen vehicles are powered by a battery. And also motors. So it's just the energy is generated in situ and then goes straight into the batteries and the way the vehicle goes, broadly speaking. And also, of course, we're going to see this technology possibly trialed in this country in vans as well. So hydrogen vans are coming. So hydrogen will play a part. There's no question. Dave Bushnell asked the question, what color? That was the point that John was making about renewably generated. So green hydrogen is basically what we want. We don't want any other kind of color, because at the end of the day, that then becomes counterproductive, because you're relying on a 40% clean grid or 50% clean grid, and then you 3 kilowatts to 1 kilowatt, the maths don't work. But green renewable is a great way of storing energy, and there will be use cases for it as time goes by, and this is a good one.
I guess the whole area of transport doesn't need more factions. It doesn't need more little groups that say, oh, well, we've got the answer to everything. But actually, anything that improves the current situation and makes things cleaner, more efficient, and healthier for people has to be good, Sarah.
Yeah, I often talk about the transport hierarchy. In fact, just yesterday, I was doing an interview with somebody at Nottingham University who was looking to study the rollout of electric vehicle infrastructure and what they need as 20-year-olds to be thinking about for their futures. That was a really nice thing to do. And she asked me about this, and I was saying, well, you have to remember, electric vehicles are just part of the transport hierarchy. You've got walking and cycling, pedestrianisation being prioritised in cities in the name of clean air. You've got urban planning design focusing on better ways to move people around in rapid transit, so buses and shuttles and trams. And then you've got pesky people that drive single occupancy use private vehicles, even if they are EV, which clutter up the cities and cause problems in other ways. So I'm still in favour of everybody seeing this as a bigger, more holistic project approach, whereby every tool, right tool for the job. I mean, I was writing in the text there, love it or loathe it. Hydrogen is going to happen in its own way. I've got a very good friend who's leading on a lot of the UK-based hydrogen projects, and the investment is massive, the appetite is massive, the progress is rapid, really fast when they finally decide to go ahead with it. And I put there, for me, I think this is an argument about clean air rather than in energy efficiency, because we know that even when it's green, it's not that great for energy efficiency.
It's interesting. One of the HGV partners is German for this particular project, and Germany way ahead of us in terms of hydrogen investment. I remember 10 years ago, the German government saying that they would invest 2 billion euros in hydrogen infrastructure if the major manufacturers committed to developing and deploying hydrogen HGVs. So this is very, very much something which you pick a horse and you ride it. And I think it's okay if you ride the HGV horse. It's okay. The hydrogen horse or the EV horse, or indeed just a horse. Anyway, if you have any clean transport, PR or news stories you'd like us to cover, please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. As always, Paul, Sarah, you've been amazing. Got plans for the weekend? Paul?
Yes, I'm heading down to Bournemouth. I've got a customer that I'm looking after on Monday in Poole, but we've got a birthday party, an 18th birthday party to go to. Yay! Aww. Fantastic. That'll be good.
You still know people who are 18? Oh.
No, well, I don't.
And Sarah, what about you? What are you up to?
Oh, it'll be nice. It's my daughter's birthday next weekend, but as I won't have her, she'll be with her daddy. I'm doing a fake birthday party weekend this weekend. So we've got Laser Quest, and secretly hoping that 1 or 2 people don't show up so I get to go and play.
It's very important to feed the inner child.
What about you, John?
Right.
What about you, John? What are you doing this weekend?
Honestly, clearing out the garage. We've got builders coming in to convert our garage, and our garage just looks like a rubbish tip. So better get on with that then. The joys. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me. And if I survive the garage, it's also goodbye from them. This has been an EV Cafe production, brought to you this week in partnership with the AA, campaigning to stop the rise in pothole numbers. Check them out because it's important work. Did you know that potholes have increased 16% in the last year? Absolutely crazy. What's this government doing? Don't answer that. It's rhetorical. Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just funner.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with the AA, Plug Me In, Paythrough, Zaptec, Spiri, Hydrock, Interval, Kersha, Dynamon, and McIntyre Hudson. With the EV Cafe supporting the transition to zero emissions. Sam Clark. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend wherever it takes you. Till next Friday, Clarky. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Like the never. Oh yeah, it wasn't.